Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kara Darby, and today I'm going to be discussing healing Hillsborough County. 1 every 11 minutes. In that amount of time, you have listened to my speech. But in that amount of time, what else is happening? By the time I am finished with my presentation, one person in the United States has lost their battle to mental illness and has chosen to take their own life. In Florida alone, 3,567 people last year died by suicide, and 610,000 adults have had thoughts of it. Over half of the mentally ill population, around 324 out of the 648,000, did not receive any kind of treatment. Another staggering number, 547 of people in Hillsborough County have lost their life to drug overdose. In Florida as a whole, there were 8,093, but with over 100,000 EMS responses. Currently, Florida ranks 42nd out of 51 states for access to mental health care and ranks 49th out of 50 states for mental health spending in America. Who would have thought that the Sunshine State would have such dark rankings? Florida as a whole needs to do better. But we can start by making a difference in Hillsborough County. We need a community mental health center for the citizens who live in more rural areas. Healing Hillsborough County needs your support so we can offer life-saving services to the migrant workers, the people at or below the poverty line, and the citizens who have government insurance or who lack insurance altogether. Like I said earlier, my name is Kara Darby, and I have personally and professionally been affected by the outrageous numbers I listed before. I have lost loved ones due to substance abuse and mental illness, and I have also lost patients from them before as well. I have been working in substance abuse and mental health since 2017. Like a lot of people, I didn't realize how much of an epidemic mental health and substance abuse were until I was working with it hand in hand. It wasn't until I was personally affected by it until I started caring. That is also why I went back to college for my degree in human services, which I am almost finished with from Indiana Wesleyan University. The first reason you should support Healing Hillsborough County is because there are barriers to other community mental health centers in the area. The two closest community centers are in Tampa and Bradenton. This is a far distance for people in rural areas to travel, especially if there are issues with transportation, and the bus route does not always line up with appointment times. The other mental health and substance abuse centers in the rural areas do not offer sliding scales or accept government insurance, making them unaffordable to the citizens residing in that area. By offering services for Medicaid and uninsured patients in rural areas in Hillsborough County, we will be able to reach more of the affected population and help reduce the number of fatal and non-fatal overdoses, as well as give the citizens with mental health disorders much needed treatment. So what sets Helping Hillsborough County apart from other treatment centers in the area, other than transportation and financial barriers? That takes us to the second reason you should support Healing Hillsborough County. Our program helps the individual patient, not the population as a whole. Healing Hillsborough County offers psychiatric services, therapy services, case management services, and pharmaceutical services. The psychiatrist will work hand in hand with the therapist to help decide which medications would be best used for their conditions. The therapist will also help the patients with coping skills because medications alone are not the cure for their ailments. Case management services will help the patients with any needs that they may have, being insurance, transportation, employment, primary care, etc. The therapy and psychiatric services will help with the coping skills and psychotropics, and case management will help fill in the gaps the patients may be having. There will also be an in-house pharmacy to help the patients receive any medications they may need, shame-free and at a low cost. Some patients may be judged based off of medications they are prescribed at larger drugstores. This will not be an issue at our center. The pharmacy will also offer the medications for low to no cost based on income, so there will not be any worries about how patients will be able to afford their medications. So if helping Hillsborough County is successful, what does that look like in the communities? That leads us to the third reason you should support Healing Hillsborough County. The more rural communities will be more financially successful and aesthetically pleasing once there is a community health center. How many times have you all driven through the smaller communities and felt like you drove into a different country? With a number of homeless in the area who are more than likely suffering from mental health or substance abuse issues, and with the lack of businesses in that area, it's just going to get worse. With more active participants in society, the number of homelessness will go down and more financial stimulation, causing for the smaller communities to thrive. This will also make these communities more aesthetically pleasing. With less drug use and mental health concerns in the area, there will be less police involvement. This leads to fewer arrests, less crowding in the jail, and less financial need in those local jails. All of these things together lead me to our mission statement. Healing Hillsborough County, or HHC, is a nonprofit community mental and substance abuse treatment center to help those in need without putting a financial burden on individuals. HHC is committed to giving quality mental and substance abuse healthcare to patients regardless of socioeconomic status, gender, race, and sexual orientation. So, how do we make it happen? For staffing, the owner, founder, CEO will be myself. Like I told you before, I am working on a BS in Human Services, and I do have 10 years of experience. I will be in charge of grant writing and budgeting for the program and initial hiring for starting up the program. There will also be a facility administrator or an FA. The FA will also have a bachelor's degree in Human Services, Management, or another similar degree. They will oversee daily activities, order supplies, and supervise employees. They will also help with budgeting of the program. The FA will be directly under myself. There will also be a psychiatrist with an MD or DO with a completed residency in psych. They will evaluate patients as well as provide medication management. There will also be a psychiatric resident with an MD or DO working on the residency or specialty. They will also evaluate patients and provide medication management with a psychiatrist overseeing them. We will also have a therapist with a master's degree. The therapist does biopsychosocial assessments on patients and also does individual and group counseling with treatment planning. There will also be a registered intern with a master's in social work, psychology, or other like degree. They will work under supervision of our main therapist, and they will do the same thing as the licensed therapist, but will work on licensing under the main therapist supervision. There will be a pharmacist with a doctorate in pharmacology. They will fill prescriptions and bill state insurance or use our sliding scale. They will also order needed controlled and non-controlled medications. They will be helped by a pharmacy technician with a certification. The technician will help the pharmacist input medications and fill non-controlled prescriptions. There will be a case manager with a bachelor's in human services, psychology, social work, or other like degree. They will do needs assessments on patients to help them with local resources for needs such as transportation, housing, employment, etc. We will also need a front desk associate with a high school diploma or GED. They will answer phones, greet patients, and verify insurances. There will be a medical assistant with a high school diploma or GED with over 1 year of experience as a medical assistant. They will work alongside the psychiatrist and the resident for refill requests, patient questions, prior authorizations, drug screening, etc. And taking a look here on the table, administration and clinical staff add up to around $679,000 annually for salary. Here on table 2, there are other expenses, which include the rental and operational expenses. The rental expenses include the building that we will utilize for our services, and our operational expenses include the duplication and printing, equipment and maintenance, postage, utilities, telecommunications, supplies, contractors, and travel. All of these expenses total up to $119,700. Here on Table 3, this shows the contract list with the estimated cost of using them annually. All of these total to $57,700. So, how will we get this money that I am speaking of? The top donor for Healing Hillsborough County is the Department of Children and Families. We are currently working on getting a grant for $1 million annually. Healing Hillsborough County will also have 5 annual fundraisers to help cover the costs from the previous tables and slides. These include our golf scramble, our walk to end suicide, our yearly festival, our yearly beach bash, and our Being Thankful dinner and silent auction, which is right around Thanksgiving. So, how will we measure success in Healing Hillsborough County? We will have a report card that has 3 different sections. The first section is staffing. The second measure we have is the budget. And the final measure we have is the program progress, meaning how well the patients are doing. In conclusion, you should support Healing Hillsborough County because there are obvious barriers to treatment for citizens in the smaller communities. We help the patients individually instead of as a whole, which leads to more successful outcomes. And with less mental health and substance abuse issues, the smaller communities will thrive, both financially and aesthetically. I appreciate your time and consideration for funding the program. Thank you so much.